Hello everyone, good day. This is the concluding part of our discussion on Research Identity and Conceptualization. This is the lecture series 3, and we'll be quickly rounding up by looking at research proposal guideline and structure. Now, to guide us in this discussion, we'll be briefly looking at introduction, the components of introduction, what needs to be there. We'll be looking at literature review, what it entails. Finally, we'll be looking at the method of analysis and data types that you require in doing the thesis. So the focus of our discussion is actually to learn the importance and sequencing in the making of a complete thesis, whether it is a PhD or a master's work. Components of introductory chapter. The title of the research project, its importance. The title is expressive of the main focus of the study. The title provides a precise impression to the reader at a glance, and it is not advisable to have a title with more than 10 words. Now, after the title, the next two issues you need to consider focuses on the background and the problem statement. How would the reader contextualize it? The background provides a brief motivation to the issue. The scene setting on the background should begin from a global perspective before dwelling on the local issue of discourse. The background section should show a narrative that moves from the general to the specific. And in doing this, you need to provide relevant statistics where necessary to support the background argument. It should provide again the relevant cutting and current knowledge around the proposed research while you are showcasing what actually is the problem. Now, for the problem, you need to develop a general perspective of the broad problem area. You need to narrow attention carefully to a sub-part of the general problem that is researchable within the resource constraints that is available to you. You need to describe the problem that is being addressed by the proposed research and provide the rationale for it. And there must be a link between your problem statement and the research objectives to showcase the ambivalence that you find in literature. Hypothesis sets the tone of the questions and objectives. Normally, we could set up no hypothesis in the normal direction, and no hypothesis is normally stated. It could be directional, it could be non-directional. And after that, you talk about the research questions and guide to it. We derive our questions from the hypothesis. The basic question guide will be which category the questions apply to. Does your question have a suitable theoretical background? How will you be answering the research question? Can the research on this question find direct or indirect application within the subject area? Is the question appropriate to meet the research requirements? Now, after this, we go to literature. This is the crux of the matter. This part of the proposal provides a summary review of what the issues are. Literature reveals what has already been done so that you do not waste your time reinventing the wheel. It is the central pillar of the entire research enterprise, and it must be focused. It must be focused on scientific other than popular literature. It helps you to determine where there are problems or flaws in existing research. It enables you to place your research in a larger context so that you can also showcase what new conclusions might result from your own research. Your literature should briefly summarize the findings or claims that have emerged from prior research efforts on the topic. It should also reach a conclusion about how accurate and complete that knowledge is. It should present, finally, your considered judgment about what is right, what is wrong, what is inconclusive, and what's missing in the existing literature. So to say, you need to showcase the salient points, the striking points, the similarities, the differences, and of course, the obvious gaps identified in literature. In doing this, the chart flow will help you to understand. We'll have 4 steps on the chart flow. The first category, we'll be looking at the key sources of your data. We'll be looking at the key theories, concepts, and ideas. We'll be looking at the major issues and debates about the topic. The second column, we'll be looking at the origins and definitions of the topic you have chosen. We'll also be looking at the main questions and problems that have been addressed to date. The third column on the chart flow We want to look at the knowledge on the topic, structure, and the organization of that knowledge. What are the epistemological and ontological grounds for the study? What are the political standpoints, if any? And the final column on the literature chart flow tries to look at approaches to the questions you've asked, whether it will increase our knowledge and understanding of the whole concept and constructs being identified and studied. Summary steps to writing a literature review section. Number 1 step, you need to review the guideline styles of the university, the department. You need to decide on a topic. You need to identify the literature that you will review. You need to analyze the literature. You need to synthesize the literature prior to writing your review. You need to write the review. You need to develop a coherent and a precise essay. And you need to summarize the reviewed literature. On methodology, the 7 key points to note quickly on methodology. You need to introduce the methodology for your research problem. What do we mean by introducing the methodology for your research problem? Is your study qualitative or quantitative, or is it a combination of both, what we call mixed methods? You need to show how the plan technique you plan to use and approach fits the overall research design. In doing this, you must make sure that methods will actually address the problem. You must also be sure that the methods have a clear connection with your research problem. The third aspect of methodology, you need to explain the methods of data collection, whether it is primary data or it's already in public domain that you can easily access them. The fourth point is that you need to describe the analysis pattern. Will you use statistical analysis? Will you use specific theoretical perspectives? How do you intend to go about the accurate assessment of the patterns, of the trends, of the relationships, distribution, and possible contradictions found in the data set? The fifth point is that you need to provide a preamble and a justification for methods that are unfamiliar for your readers. You need to be clear and precise and concise in the explanation. The sixth point is that you need to provide a rationale for the sampling procedure. If you aim to conduct interviews, how do you intend to select the sample population? If you are analyzing tests, which tests have you chosen and why the test? If you are using data, why is this set of statistics being used? If new data sources exist, explain why the data you choose is most appropriate for the research problem. And finally, you need to define probable limitations to the work, to the techniques. Are there any limitations that could affect your data collection? How will you attempt to control for possible difficult variables and errors? If your data may lead to problems, you need to state ab initio, prior to that work, openly and show why pursuing this methodology outweighs the risk of these problems that could crop up. After making sure of this, the next stage is defining the data type, which will enable you and help you to do your analysis properly. And there is a basic question to ask. Can the data be measured numerically? 2 answers, no or yes. If you say no, according to Saunders et al. 2009, it means that what you have is a categorical data. Then another question follows. Can the data be classified into more than 2 sets? If the answer is no, it means what you have is a descriptive dichotomous data. But if the answer to this question is yes, there is another question that should follow. Can these sets be placed in rank order? Yes or no? If you say yes, then you have a ranked ordinal data. If you say no, it means what you have is descriptive nominal data. Why are we laboring to discuss this? The different classes of data types you have will determine the kind of analysis you do and the kind of preliminary analysis you do on the data set even before the real analysis emerges. Now, going back to the first question, can data be measured numerically as quantities? If your answer is yes, the next question will be yes, numerical data. The question will now be, can the relative difference between the 2 values be calculated? If you say no, it means you are dealing with an interval data. If you say yes, you are dealing with a ratio data. Remember, we talked about interval and ratio data, ordinal and nominal in the previous presentation. Now, if the question again comes up, can the data theoretically take any value within a range? If you say yes, it means you have a continuous data set. If you say no, it means it's discrete data set. Finally, which calculations would you use? If you want to know how many individuals, for example, checked each answer in your analysis, in your questionnaire or whatever, frequency could be used. You want to know the proportion of people who answered in a certain way? Percentage could be used. You want to know the average number or average score? Mean could be used. You want to know the middle value in a range of values or scores? The median could be used. You want to show the range in answers or scores? Range could be used. You want to compare one group to another? Cross-tabulation could be used. And you want to report changes from pre to post? Change score technique could be used. Or you want to show the degree to which a response varies from the mean in the analysis? Standard deviation could be used. Thank you very much. Questions and comments will be appreciated. This is the end of our presentation on research identity and conceptualization. Thank you.